You're hoping to be an organic gardener. Well, aren't we all? It's pretty easy here. You just buy the products that say organic on them and they're good to go. You check the label, yep, all organic, all ricamaquin. That doesn't sound organic. Now, what's crazy is most of these products have been deemed, bless you, unsafe for the environment, for you, for me, for our pets, yet you can still walk into a big box store or a nursery and buy them right now. It's crazy. Here in the United States, most of these products are still being used, yet being banned in other countries. I mean, it's just insane to think about. So this is my general understanding of the topic. I'm not a scientist or a chemist, so take that for what you will. This is just kind of my opinion on the matter. Now, first up on our list is neonicotinoids, or also called as neonics or neos. Now, these are basically going to be your insecticides. So we spray these on our lawns, plants, and even our vegetables to kill off bad bugs. The problem is these often kill off the bugs that we want. This product makes bees unable to fly, navigate, pollinate, and often slowly kills them. When we water or it rains, those chemicals get absorbed into the water and then is toxic to the worms below. It also kills off ladybugs, which we know feed on all of our aphids. So the first product I'm going to recommend as an alternative to neonicotinoids is neem oil. Neem oil is a fantastic product to spray on your garden every couple of weeks. You're going to notice a dramatic difference in your garden. You're going to notice healthier plants, darker leaves, bigger leaves. You're going to notice that you don't have to fight. So it's a good preventative product for any kind of pests. It's safe to use around your pets and your kids and your family and the environment. It's just a great overall product. You should definitely be spraying this in your garden. So the next best thing we could do is attract more birds to our garden using bird feeders, bird houses, bird baths. They're great for eating Japanese beetles, slugs, caterpillars, ladybug larvae, and other bugs that we hate to have in our garden. Now, the second product we need to remove from our gardens is nitrates. Nitrates is basically our common fertilizer. Now, if you think about it, most people at home fertilize their lawn. We fertilize our plants and we fertilize the food that we are growing. Multiply that by millions of homes and farms, and that's a lot of nitrates that are used per year. With all of this use, it eventually seeps into the soil, runs off into the drains, and out to the water treatment facilities within your neighborhoods. It's then treated and sent right back as drinking water. In the United States alone, millions of tons of commercial fertilizer and manure are applied to our farmlands each year. This is running into our environments, into our drinking water, and really at the end of the day, it's the pandemic that we should all be talking about. So what are some alternatives to nitrates and commercial fertilizers? I mean, this is pretty easy. Simply put a layer of compost onto your perennial lawn and veggie garden each year. You'll notice a dramatic difference there. Or use a product from Espoma. Espoma makes tons of, they're just kind of a revolutionary brand. They were well ahead of the curve on this. They make a fantastic fertilizer. I highly recommend them. Check them out. All right, so the third product we need to all talk about here is glyphosate. And glyphosate is going to be kind of your go-to weed spray. It was specifically used in that Roundup lawsuit. But glyphosate is one of those like scary products. Like if you go down that rabbit hole, tangent alert, it's scary. It's scary stuff. So glyphosate, again, quick tangent here, was introduced to the public in the 70s, and by the early 80s, maybe even late 70s, corn farmers specifically realized that if they just sprayed this all over their crop, it would all mature at the same time. They could then harvest it all and then replant the entire field. They also realized that if they sprayed it on their crop, that last yield right before a frost would come in, they would ensure themselves that yield. They wouldn't have to worry about a frost coming in randomly, killing off that crop and then not getting it. So they've been spraying it all over corn for decades now. And when it rains and they water, that chemical seeps into that soil. So they're not only growing the product in basically toxic soil, but they're also spraying it on the chemical. And when they harvest it and then put it out to the public, we're then getting it twofold, right? We're getting it within the cells of the actual corn, but then on top of the skin or outside of the corn. It's scary to think. And we already talked about in this video how much corn is consumed by today's world. It's a filler that's used in everything. It's a preservative. It's a high fructose corn syrup, which is, again, if you like start looking at the products that you're consuming and eating on a daily basis and how much corn is used in things to put on your skin and in your hair, man, it is scary to think. And then by the 2000s, like early 2000s, we saw an absolute explosion in everything, like ADHD, autism, depression. Yeah, it's just scary to think. And you know, obviously we can't point the finger directly at only glyphosate, but potentially this is one of the triggering factors for, you know, all of these crazy diseases. I mean, back in the like 80s, doctors would report that like the number one thing they saw patients for would be like, you know, arthritis, back pain, neck pain, knee pain, you know, like things that we age on, not, you know, random diseases that, you know, are kind of coming out of nowhere. So, you know, take that for what you will. Again, it's a little bit of a tangent. If you decide to go down that rabbit hole, I will link a couple articles below. But man, it is a scary thought that, you know, glyphosate is still being used in our world today. It's in 750 plus products that you can get right now. You can go to your big box store and buy products that are just, you know, 95% glyphosate. It's scary. All right, so what are some alternatives to glyphosate? Now, I get it here. I mean, I totally get that. This is a product that works really well. It's fast and easy to use. It's probably the hardest one to get rid of, right? Especially if we have mass amounts of like grass and things like that that we need to kill. But we've got to, you know, find an alternative here. So what I'm doing is again, just getting in there with my fingers and hands and pulling the weeds. I like to pay my kids, you know, 10 cents or a quarter a weed. The next best thing is, if you have a good amount of weeds, is to put on a big pot of boiling water and then just dump that right onto the weeds. It does actually work pretty darn well. Next best thing is, there are some vinegar-based weed sprays that you can buy actually in box stores. They actually are reviewed really well. I've never tried them myself. I've always made my own concoction at home. I will put a link below to the ingredients list that I've used. Again, I get it. Don't hammer me here in the comment section. If you've got a mass amount of weeds, there's nothing easier to use than a Roundup type product. The problem is it's not safe for you. It's not safe for your family, your pets, your kids, the environment, birds, bees, all that other stuff. So if you can, get rid of glyphosate in your garden. Okay, so you'll notice in this video, other than Roundup, we didn't point the finger at any specific product, any specific brand, nothing like that. If you want to be an organic gardener, you have to make sure that on your end, you're doing the research and making sure that anything you put into your garden is in fact an organic product. Now, what's crazy is these companies are very sneaky. You'll look at the label and it'll say 10% this, 20% that, and then 70% is labeled as other ingredients. So you'll actually have to go back to the company website. Oftentimes they have you download a link and go through like a 20-page document just to figure out what those other 70%, you know, ingredients are. That's sneaky, that's scary. The USDA will label something fully organic, so you can buy a product that says organic on it as long as 95% of it is organic. They don't care what that other 5% is. There is a product out there that has an organic label on it. It's OMRI certified, which means that's the highest certification you can get for organic. 95% of that product is clean. However, the last 5% is glyphosate. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, okay, dude, too rough. God damn.